Hey guys, and welcome back to A&J Education YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about applying to Masters, what's required and what it takes to get into your chosen Masters program. So if you're thinking about further higher education, keep watching. All right guys, well, we're very fortunate to have Jamie back in the studio with us.
Hi, how you
Hey
doing?
Jamie, great to see you again.
You too.
So Jamie, tell us, first of all, let's say someone's decided to do a master's. When do they, what's the timeline of the process? If let's say we're talking about the UK first.
Sure. So most UK masters, you want to apply sometime between January and April, but normally March. That's kind of a bit more of a last minute thing, but that's a normal time frame, except for Cambridge. So if you're a high flying student and you think, you want to apply to Cambridge, I would recommend getting on it quicker because normally the applications are due in, I think, early December-ish.
Cool. So that's sort of the exception. Okay, great. And in terms of and by the way, guys, it's similar, in the US and Europe. With masters, it's best to check directly with the university admissions page on when the deadline is. And sometimes domestic and international students have two separate deadlines, and there are also waves.
Yes.
Some stages of application. So
yeah, for sure. So there's some places, for instance, I know Manchester does this, where they will do it in 4-week waves. So if you apply within, let's say the month of January, then you'll be in a wave that will be decided on by mid-February, and then they'll repeat the process and again, throughout the year.
Cool. So, and obviously, kind of the earlier you apply, the better.
Yes, the better your chances for sure. Master's courses tend to have smaller pools than undergraduate courses, so the earlier you are, the better you're likely to do.
Better. Cool. All right. And Jamie, what's required? So because for undergraduate courses, it's kind of the school does a lot of the hand holding, with the reference and application forms, and a lot of students, wherever you are sort of pushed along. But with masters, it's sort of on you, right?
Yeah, for sure. So for master's applications, it's a lot more hands off. Professors won't really recommend or help you out that much. So most of it is down to you putting in hard work and getting in there early. So as you said, at school, loads of people are used to careers counsellors or, their favourite teachers helping them through it. Here, your personal statement, you won't get any feedback from your professors. Courses they recommend or your teachers recommended to you, your professors won't. Pretty much every part of the process is kind of down to you.
Okay. Cool. And so what's the formula? So I'm guessing you have the usual application form. Is it one application form to all universities like UCAS or Common App?
No, I wish that was the case. So when it comes to master's applications, you have to apply to each university individually. So that means separate personal statements for each of them, separate funding requests. The days of UCAS are over. There's a few places that you can apply via UCAS, but they're few and far between.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so you've got to apply separately, and then in terms of your CV, is it still sort of quite academic focus, so things relevant to the subject that you want to study that you need to include in your CV?
Sure. So this one's a bit more complicated. So some places ask directly for a CV and a personal statement. Other places just ask for one or the other. So when we're talking about your personal statement, it still needs to be 100%, academic focused. If you're applying for an academic sort of master's, you need to demonstrate what you did, as an undergraduate and, the sorts of activities and modules you took to show that you're more than capable of handling an even higher level of study. When it comes to your CV, you want to keep it academic focused, but if you've done some internships, or if you've done some sort of work experience before you apply for a master's, you should put it down because if you have gaps, it will look a bit weird.
Don't look weird. Okay. So and then in terms of the personal statement, often at school, teachers give feedback. Obviously, with all of our students, we give them feedback and help them to heavily edit their personal statements. But for masters, you're kind of on your own, right?
Yes, you're mostly on your own. So, I mean, depending what university you go to or the relationship you have with a specific professor, you might be able to get away with asking them to give it a quick read, But for most students, that won't be the case. So you kind of have to, I guess, rely on friends or look online to find comparable personal statements to see if you're on the right track or not. There are some, resources online. I think A&J has a bunch.
Got a ton, yeah.
But for the most part, you kind of have to rely on people around you to gauge the tone of the statement.
Okay. Jamie, and typically with students who come to A&J for masters, for our master's application programs, we typically start that a bit later than for undergrad. So for undergrad, we tell students, if you're really ambitious, come to us 2 years before the application deadline. For masters, many students come to us a year before the application deadline. So can you walk the viewers through what takes place in the 12 months before you submit the application?
Sure. So for the 12 months before, the key thing you need to do is make sure you've got very good grades, depending on what university you want to go to, of course, and that you can't do, 3 or 4 days before, the deadline of most masters. But on top of that, it's really, really important to get a strong academic CV built up. So, it's not just going to societies, it's trying to work on research papers, it's trying to secure internships that are highly related to, the masters you want to do. It's about potentially even getting something published, and that sort of thing. You can't, as I said, do overnight. It's got to take, 12 months at a minimum. Yeah.
And another big component of the application, obviously, of the essays, the application form, the CV, your grades, as you mentioned, are the references.
Yes.
Right? And here you often need more than one reference.
Yes, for sure. So this is once again where, it depends on the situation you're applying to a master's in. But for most people and most courses, you need at least 2 references, and they tend to prefer academic ones. So if you're in uni, doing undergrad, 2nd or 3rd year, and you're applying for your master's, they would want to see your professors talk about what sort of candidate you are. If it's been 6, 7, 8 years since you've done an undergrad degree, then there's a bit more flexibility there. Typically, you would still want to have some sort of academic reference. Maybe if they ask for 2, some places ask for 3, like Oxford. But if you're asked for 2, try and get one that's more academic, I'd recommend, and then one that's more based on your career since you left university.
Like professional
experience.
Exactly.
Yeah, professional. Maybe the boss for the firm you work for, something like that.
Okay, cool. And Jamie, in terms of the process, once you submit the application, are there any extra tests like you do for undergraduate admission? Let's say you want to be a doctor, you do the BMAT or the UCAT. If you're applying to America, you often have the SAT. Are there any extra, and obviously in America for masters you have the GMAT or the GRE, depending on the subject, but are there any extra tests in Europe or in the UK?
Not really, no. I think that some places might ask you to do courses beforehand. So for instance, I know that people who do Cambridge or applied to Cambridge to do economics would have to have done a summer course before to prepare them for the maths, and if they don't pass, they wouldn't get in. But for the vast majority of courses, you don't have to do any extra tests. I think the story might be different if you're an international student applying, but for most people, that wouldn't really.
Yeah, because you'll need the English, to prove your English qualification. Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Well, Jamie, just rounding this up. So, any final 2-3 tips to our viewers in terms of how to prepare the best possible application for masters?
Sure, of course. So the first one I would definitely say is make sure you know exactly what you want to study and why. If you want to do a master's just because it's the next step and you're used to studying, it's not going to be a good look. So having a strong reason for why you want to do the master's is a very good foundation. The second thing I would say is start looking for academic experiences as soon as possible. If there's a way you can show your passion beyond just the lectures you do, take it, because it can distinguish you from other people. And thirdly, I would say make sure that when you are doing your exams and things like that and writing essays and pieces of coursework, make them as strong as possible, because some masters do ask you to send in some work. So treat every piece of work you do as if it's something you would send in to a place you're applying to.
Great. Well, and Jimmy, I understand you're yourself in the process of applying for
yes,
for
I am.
Masters now.
That's why I've been doing a lot of research.
Yeah,
talk about it today. Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm sure all of the guys watching this will join me in wishing you all the best of luck.
Oh, thank you so much.
For that in the process.
Yeah.
Stay sane.
Well, I'll try my best.
Yeah.
I'll give you an update.
Yeah. All the best. And guys, if you enjoyed this video, if you found this useful, please like it and do subscribe to our channel. We invest a ton of time and effort into making these videos useful, insightful, and relevant to you, and there is a team here that you see, myself and Jamie, and the whole team behind the camera that are very involved. So please subscribe and help us grow the channel. But for now, thanks very much from Jamie and I, and all the best to you.